Hey everyone, welcome back to our On the Money YouTube channel. Matt Stevenson, president of Allied Wealth here. Today I want to address a very important topic, taxation in retirement. This is something that's often overlooked by a lot of folks out there that maybe plan their own taxes each year. And this is something that makes sense to me because when we think about taxes, it's really capturing a moment in time. You know, these are the statements, those annual papers that we file with our CPA, maybe we do it on our own, and it's capturing that year's return. But instead, when we talk about properly planning for taxation, this is tied directly to the retirement vision that you have, not just this year, but over the next 20 to 30 years. And there's a lot of consideration that we need to put to that for very specific reasons. And here's the first thought that I had on that. As we just talked about, it's critical but often overlooked as far as taxes and how that ties to your retirement plan, because you have little control over the taxes you pay in retirement. We don't know what the future of tax rates will be. And so tax laws will always be changing, rates will change over time. We've had the Secure Act changes here in the last few years. We need to talk about how your retirement income will be taxed. A big conversation that we have with our clients at Allied Wealth is how to properly position investments into the right types of accounts and diversify what we call those tax buckets. And there are investments out there with tax advantages that we'll get into here in a moment. But the first thing that I wanted to ask is, for those of us watching the video at home, where do we think the future of tax rates will be? Do we think that they'll be lower in the future or higher? Well, a few things to consider with that. So a look back a few years ago, as of 2016, get this, 67 cents of every tax dollar that you and I pay goes to pay for four things: Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and the interest on our national debt, which is $30 trillion and climbing every single day. And in the future, if nothing changes with tax rates, that's projected to be 92 cents of every tax dollar. Think about what that leaves the government to pay for with the remaining 8 cents of every tax dollar. Things like our best friends with the IRS, NASA, the Army, Navy, Air Force, FEMA, the FAA, the FBI, a lot of critical programs that we have to have as a society to keep the government functioning properly. And so that to me tells us that tax rates will likely be much higher in the future than they are today. Some more on that, if we look back at the history of tax rates through 1913, through the changes to the tax system in 2016, we see that a couple of times in history, the top marginal tax bracket has been north of 90%. In fact, if we go back to World War II era, the highest marginal rate was about 94%. So if we were earning a good living at that time, we were giving all but 6 cents of every dollar back to Uncle Sam. That's tough to think about, right? Now, hopefully we never get back to those levels, but we do see that the general trend over the last century or so has been a decline in the top rates. And so these right now today are some of the lowest brackets, in fact, we've ever had in our nation's history. If we average this over time, though, the average top rate is close to 60%, and the average bottom tier bracket is close to about 12%. And we talked about this a moment ago, but if we look back at the interest on our national debt, back in the year 2000, so about 20 some years ago, the national debt was about $5 trillion. The interest paid on that was just over $200 billion a year. Fast forward to this year, that national debt has climbed pretty substantially. 30 trillion and growing by the day, really by the minute, but 850 billion in interest paid on that debt. Now those numbers don't really add up, and it's because the interest rate environment. Back in the year 2000, interest rates were at 5.5%, and while higher now, to be sure, interest rates at the beginning of this year were at about 2.8%. We've been in a near zero interest rate environment for much of this time, in fact. And so the government's been able to finance its debts relatively cheaply until now. So what happens when these interest rates, which they're doing now, return to these normal historical levels? In fact, the interest expense would exceed $1 trillion a year. Now, that's mind-boggling to think about. All these things that we've just considered, how could that make the IRS an increasing partner in your retirement? And this is where we have to think about our clients and those of you out there that maybe you've done well in saving for retirement. You've socked money away into these 401ks, these IRAs, and that's what we've always been told to do. Let's take that snapshot in time. Let's get all these deductions that we can right now today and take advantage of that. We'll worry about the future when it comes. Well, once we get close to or in that retirement red zone, 5 years out from or 5 years into our retirement window, when we need to start utilizing these dollars for income, we need to change our frame of reference and start planning for the future where we are likely to have much higher rates. So think about a client that I have that's age 60. They've saved $1 million for retirement, and they've done well. They're able to meet their lifestyle needs right now today in some of the lowest tax brackets that we've seen. But are there some things that we can do right now to siphon these dollars out of pre-tax buckets like your IRA and 401k into post-tax accounts like a Roth IRA that will grow tax deferred and we can take money out tax-free in retirement when we need these dollars most, when we have those forced distributions in our early 70s, and especially later in life when we need the most efficient dollars and resources available to us for emergencies, long-term care or health care needs that are certain to pop up along the way. So the goal is simple. Keep more money in your pocket and out of Uncle Sam's hands as much as possible, and the planning for that needs to start now. That's exactly what we specialize in helping our clients with. If you have questions on this, certainly subscribe to our channel for more content. Give our office a call at 281-444-7555. Hit the like button below, subscribe to our channel, and I'll catch you next time for more content.